perhaps more true to size. Oh yes. Hello. How's it going? Hello, everybody. Come in, pull up a seat. We'll have to get started in short order, but we just opened the door, so I don't expect everyone to be at their places like right now.
It's like something like this right now. Excuse me, do you have a lozenge?
Oh, say my name 3 times when I'm here. It works. Hey, yeah, I could say my name 25 times and I'll still be here. Although you might all be going, silver quill. It sounds like you're dying. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, you're kidding. I don't want Firebrand to be here. How else would I get screams from the audience? You might say it's my own Firebrand of humor. That's right. You did it. And yet I don't.
Ready for?
Because I'm a pundit. I like trying to get pontificates.
Gotcha.
I do. And she's in this for the long haul. She, like myself, will be here all weekend. And she's wearing a fantastic head accessory.
Yeah, you're getting.
So, everyone, have you had a good day so far?
Yes!
Okay, that was on level with like a Fluttershy. Have you had a good day so far? Now we're cooking with pony gas. Don't ask how you collect that, but it's all natural. I don't know. My humor, it's a gas. Yeah. No, wait, this is like the Oscars. When they start playing the playoff music, then I'll know I gotta go. Alright, so everyone, I greatly appreciate you coming here to my panel as we start off Nightmare Nights 2017. See, they're taking away the ladder because I know I'm my own bad luck. And thank you for coming to this panel where I will be talking about dissecting the Mary Sue. Which sounds terribly violent. Oh, it sounds like the worst thing ever. But here's my question to all of you. Who here has a Ponysona, an OC, or something you drew for the show, in the show? Okay. Without having looked at your characters, without having studied them, without knowing anything about them, I can call them a Mary Sue. Just cause. Yes, I can. I just did. Here's Mary Sue. Oh, did it. Mary Sue, oops, I did it again. Yes, I actually went there. So here's the thing. There's a term that's thrown out all over. And fanfic writers, creatives, folks who are trying to sharpen their teeth in writing fiction online. It's the thing that gets thrown their way, and I keep asking myself, what does it mean? What does being a Mary Sue really mean? Because you hear it all the time, but I've never once found a succinct definition or a criteria. And believe me, the internet has tried. Hence, I've come up with my own presentation, dissecting the Mary Sue. So, on your monitor. There we go. Yes, there's my Mary Sue character. He can die and die and die, but he always comes back. But I asked myself, where did the Mary Sue idea come from? And to prove that the internet is 5 degrees of separation, where else but... Yes, if you want to know when the term Mary Sue actually came into existence, look no farther than Star Trek. More specifically, A Trekkie Tale by Paul Smith, written in antiquity of 1973. Almost said 72. You know what that means? It's older than I am. Do you know how rarely I get to say that? So yes, there was this fan fiction, A Trekkie's Tale. It was basically a satire of all things original character. The author took a look at all the stories that people were sending out to the Trekkie fandom, and all the new characters they were introducing, and basically satirized everything from exceptional skill to perfection, to instant integration with the crew, and she embodied this with a 15-year-old lieutenant. A 15-year-old lieutenant. Now think about that. Right off the bat, this is outside the realm of possibility because you have to be a certain age to serve in the military. Oh boy, has the Mary Sue label been applied to Wesley? Oh, but I even have a friend who's about to ship off to the Navy to serve. She doesn't. Yes, there she is. Let's wish her well. Come January, she'll be stepping out. Although she looks young enough that I wonder about the whole 15-year-old age limit.
Over here.
You're old enough to ship? Okay, I'm going to put you with Featherbanks. And this is Lieutenant Mary Sue. Just take this in. This was actually drawn with the story. This was published in the article. Let's see if my name is true. If you look right there at her mouth, you see what? That's a little flash going off her teeth. I was tempted to take Photoshop and write century underneath, but you know how it is. So here's an excerpt from this story, which was, it basically highlighted how Mary Sue was unrealistic and perfect. So perfect. Back on board, Dr. McCoy and Lieutenant Mary Sue found out that the men who had beamed down were seriously stricken by the jumping cold Robbies. Mary Sue less so. While the four officers languished in sickbay, Lieutenant Mary Sue ran the ship, and ran it so well she received the Nobel Peace Prize, the Vulcan Order of Gallantry, and the Trendolidorian Order of Good Guyhood. That's very hard. The Troglodytes, they said, Gandhi, you gotta step up your game, man. However, the disease finally got to her and she fell fatally ill. In sickbay, as she breathed her last, she was surrounded by Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and Mr. Scott, all weeping unashamedly at the loss of their beautiful her beautiful youth and youthful beauty, intelligence and capability, and all-around niceness. Even to this day, her birthday is a national holiday of the Enterprise. Oh, that's so sad. But it is on. Oh, you don't have to say no man is an island? Well, James T. Kirk says nuts to you. I am the captain of the Enterprise, which is now its own nation, because I said so. Now, where did this story first take place? Because this was a time when the internet was not exactly easily accessible by general Joe Q public. There were devoted people who knew computers much better than I do, and they could access it, but this was really published in fanzines. What are those? Well, fanzines were hardcover magazines made by advanced war fans. You could get them in the grocery store, you could get them at your comic book shop. These days, we've replaced this with blogs like Equestria Daily. We've got forums, chat rooms, we can tell one another we hate each other in real time. It's so nice. And you can call out people's work of Mary Sue. And it was the Menagerie magazine, very popular fanzine, that coined the phrase Mary Sue. And ooh, they did not pull punches. Mary Sue's story is the adventure of the youngest and smartest ever person to graduate from the academy and ever get a commission at such a tender age. Usually characterized by unprecedented skill in everything from art to apology, including karate and arm wrestling. I don't think Wesley managed to get the arm wrestling down, but that description does outline him pretty well, doesn't it? This character can also be found working her way to the good graces, heart, and mind of one of the big three, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. I don't know why Scotty's not included in there. So sad. If not, all three at once. She saves the day by her wit and ability, and if lucky, has the good grace to die at the end, being greeted by the entire ship / nation. Because I said so, said James T. Kirk. Now, that is harsh. I mean, that is a brutal term, and yet it endured. To this day, this is what I mean when I say that you don't have to worry about a fandom ever truly dying out. They just influence the next one. Terms like Mary Sue carry forward from Trekkies to Bronies, and I'm sure we've got Whovians, Browncoats, Star Warsians, and Potarians, though I kind of prefer potheads, but that's just me. And yeah, probably furries. Yeah. You got it. You created a Star Fox character, someone's going to label that a furry. A Verlin and a Terra? Wait, isn't he already? Oh, Terra Dragon. Well, oh, I don't mean to drag on about this. You're only encouraging me. Oh. But hang on, the story doesn't quite end there, because later people started to talk conversations about this at conventions. And this was documented in a book called Enterprising Women. Basically, a look at the Star Trek fandom from a female perspective. And here's something where the Mary Sue starts to become a little less funny. Mary Sue, they argue, really restricts creativity. It's a criticism that's loved way too easily, way too freely. And it just discourages people. You say, oh, your character's such a Mary Sue. Mic drop, but not really. And they'd be very mad at me if I did that. Oh, we'll get to that, yes. But more than that, there's paranoia. Basically, according to one of the speakers at a convention, people always say that it's like a believable, confident, and identifiable with female characters. Notice the female parts. This was a big problem for Star Trek fans. Also, just I learned something new while working on this. A little sick right there. You throw that in when you think the person you're quoting used the wrong words. So, they look like the dummy, not you. But mostly I just define it by Princess Bride. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Conceivable! Exactly. But here's the thing that really struck at me. At a Star Trek panel, cataloged by Enterprising Women, one writer in the fandom said, every time I've tried to put a woman in the story I've ever written, everyone immediately says, this is a Mary Sue. Now let's be honest, Star Trek, the original, broke a lot of boundaries, it challenged a lot of concepts, but it was not very respectful towards women. There is a literal rule in Star Trek in that series that women cannot be captains. Later we would get Captain Janeway, and SF Debris would have a field day just labeling her as the destroyer of worlds. So we're still working on that. Also, show of hands, who's watched this Star Trek Discovery?
I have.
Who here likes Star Trek Discovery? Okay, I'm getting some shaky hands. It's getting a bad rap. That's all I know about it at this point. But here's the thing, everybody calls characters Mary Sue, this is Mary Sue, that's Mary Sue, I called everything a Mary Sue at the start of this panel. What does it mean? What's the definition? What's the rules? What's the criteria? Ain't nobody telling me. And I checked, because I went to Wikipedia. If it's on Wikipedia, it must be true. Don't question it.
Wikipedia!
I went to Wikipedia. Now, if I said I edited Wikipedia, then I'd verify I didn't check. So, according to Wikipedia, Mary Sue is an idealized and seemingly perfect fictional character. Often this character is recognized as an author insert or wish fulfillment. How do you recognize that? Did you ask them? Sometimes the name is reserved only for women, while male Sues are called Gary Stews or Marty Stews. But more often, that name is used for all sexes. Truth be told, I've never once heard someone call a character a Marty Stew. Although maybe I should look at Back to the Future fanfiction. Oh, Marty Stew. Oh. Okay, so that's one definition, but what about know your meaning? Mary Sue is a negative term used in fanfiction and literary criticism to describe an original character that is often overly idealized or assumed to be a projection of the author. Okay, operative word there, assumed. It's a little bit more honest. When used by a male author, the character is again referred to as a Gary Stew or Marty Stew. Okay, but getting a little bit better. Okay, your Doc Brown is way better than mine. And last but not least, we have TV tropes. Ooh la la. And I'll tell you the truth, this is my favorite definition. Mary Sue is a derogatory term primarily used in fan fiction circles to describe a particular type of character. Me. This much everyone can agree on. What the character type is exactly differs wildly from circle to circle and often from person to person. Okay, you know why I like this one most? Because it puts the definition on the audience. This is the audience throwing this label out, so shouldn't the definition relate to the audience? It's like with Know Your Mean, it's assumed to be a projection of the author. How many people have taken the time to ask, hey, is this your wish fulfillment? And would anyone actually answer that truthfully? Yes, this is my wish fulfillment. But I have to ask my supervisor first. And so this is the thing that has hounded me as I pondered this whole Mary Sue criticism. Some people, it's a wish fulfillment. Some people, it's an overpowered character. Some say it's a self-insert. Now for me, Mary Sue is a big pink unicorn with a fluffy mane who likes to hit my character with a broom and call me a glorified pigeon. And as I say these words, I ask, how did I get here? Oh, but alicorns. Alicorns are certainly a big thing. Everyone assumes that if your character's an alicorn...
Hey, wait just a minute there, Buster.
Oh, heavens, she's becoming self-aware.
What kind of mess up panel is this? Dissecting the Mary Sue? You people have issues. And you're all dressed weird.
Well, now, Mary, this panel isn't about you specifically. It's any character called the Mary Sue. We have another alicorn in
Maybe
the
not,
audience.
but I am like the best at what I do, which is like everything. Because, you know, I'm Mary Sue. But what the heck is going on with you?
What? What's with me?
You don't look much like a pigeon right now. You kind of look more like some kind of gerbil.
Okay, that actually hurt my feelings. Look, do you want to be a part of this panel or not?
I figured, since my name is in the title and all.
Well, then you must answer me these questions 3. Here, the other side of the panel, you see. What is your name?
Mary Sue.
What is your quest?
To be the best, like nobody ever was.
When was the last time you failed at something?
Fail? I don't fail. Wait, what does that even mean?
And that's why you don't challenge a nerd at a convention, for here the nerd is king. Yes, but that is my tormentor online. Well, okay, one of 20. Oh, wait. Oh, that's true. There are 2 alicorns here. And here's the thing about alicorns. Everyone always says they're a Mary Sue right away. Why? Because I think people feel that alicorn is a shortcut to saying how awesome your character is. And that's the big problem. One, you're making an assumption you haven't gotten to know this character yet. At the same time, there are authors who've made their character an alicorn and stopped. They thought that was enough because they forgot the character. And that's probably the biggest thing. Oh, Lordy. When you go online, you can find any number of litmus tests. Is your character a Mary Sue? Think about that for a minute. A litmus test to see if your character is a Mary Sue. And I love these comparisons. It's a little hard to see the text, I'm sure, but on the left, you see what is considered not a Mary Sue, except people totally would call it a Mary Sue because she's a cat girl. But the general premise is that this young lady is kind of good at athletics. She's on tennis. She's pretty good at school, but not great at everything. You know, she's just sort of a easygoing, average, except she's a cat girl. And people would look at that and say, that's a Mary Sue because she has a tail and ears. How they handle equestrian girls, I would never know. Now, on the other side, we have the daughter of King Vegeta and Princess Serenity, who is basically a mythical creature melting pot, as she is part everything. Good at everything. Dial it up to an extreme. I mean, but here's the thing I notice. Even though I still maintain that people would call the cat girl Mary Sue, they're trying to argue that because she's not good at really anything, she's okay at stuff, but they don't really say she's a good at something. I thought, just hang on. We are watching a show about ponies. One is really good with animals. One is one of the best party planners. One is a fantastic athlete who did incredible feats. No one's calling them Mary Sues because they did something well. Honestly, I think this is a more honest representation of what is the litmus test for Mary Sue. Let's run through this. Is your character female? Yes, then it's a Mary Sue. Ooh, we're back to Star Trek. That's harsh. Indeed, it is. Mary Sue, the Mary Sue princess of a long time discouraged women from trying to participate in a fandom. But okay, if it's a guy, does he use a sword? No? Okay, move on. Yes, he's a Mary Sue. Has he ever won a fight? Yes, Mary Sue. Is he human? No. Okay, then it's a Mary Sue. Okay, so right now, anyone who's made a stallion, Mary Sue. According to this thing, that's me too. I made a pony. Let's see, but it is a human. Is he level 1? No, Mary Sue. If he is level 1, yes. Is he a Mary Sue? No, yes he is. Yes. Oh, let me agree. This is the trap of these litmus tests. They're all over the internet. There are ones where you can fill in the dots. There are ones where you can answer yes or no questions. And so those are to say, warning, your character's a Mary Sue. What, because my character's good at something? Call me crazy, but I thought the whole point of a character was to win the day by doing something good. You really have to be like a Terry Pratchett level writer to have a character win the day by being bad. Discworld fans? Anybody? Yeah, not peeps. And here's the thing, we also celebrate a lot of people, characters at least, that would be considered Mary Sues if you took them outside their shows. So there are big 4 criteria for being considered a Mary Sue. You must be an exception to the universe's rules. You can break the bounds, like Neo would. Anything that's a hard limit for everyone else is not this character. They can move through anything because they are absurdly powerful. They are rivaling the deities themselves. They can work through just about anything, and ain't nothing gonna put them down because they can overpower it. But funny thing though, some reason even though they're all powerful, everyone thought they were kaput. At some point in the story, they lament that a character has kicked the bucket, and then suddenly, hey, I'm not dead. Yay! And the height of attractiveness. Oh. Men want to be hit, women want to be with them, or vice versa, or all at once. It's all the same. Basically, everybody loved this character. And the thing is, we have characters like this in popular fiction, in the media. Case in point, my first example, and perhaps maybe the most perfect example, Homer Simpson. I don't know if you think it's silver, you finally flipped your wig. Also, you should get a wig. It's ugly. But here's the thing, Homer would be considered a Mary Sue. Okay, exception to the universe's rules. How is it that this modern day every guy gets to go to space, become movie stars, work for supervillains? After how many, 30 plus seasons of this show? Is there anything he hasn't done? I don't think he's become president yet.
He's never given birth.
Oh my God, he became president? Oh my God. Okay, now you're messing with me. He's not messing with me. The thing is, even if he is, I believe it. And yet South Park started that. Okay, but absurdly powerful. You think Homer surely doesn't qualify for that. And yet this guy has barreled through any number of challenges, seemingly accomplishing the impossible. Remember, this is a guy who could somehow get a budget for a stealth bomber to look out for bears in his hometown. And now you think I'm messing with you, but no, it's an episode. Thought to be dead, okay. How many times have people thought Homer was dead? 1,200? You know what, I didn't even believe that with how many episodes they have. Oh dear, oh gosh. Oh yeah, Homer, Halloween special, Homer Goes to Hell. Have all the donuts in the world. But then, height of attractiveness, again, look at the little rotund there. And yet, how many women have fallen madly in love with it besides Marge? I'm aware of at least several. And again, I haven't watched the whole series, so they might surprise me. They usually do. At least 3. Well, that's, and am I right that all these women were physically attracted? But let's move on to other modern day Mary Sues. Think about this, because let's go through the criteria. Breaks the world's rules. The boy who lived. Nobody survives the killing curse until him. So he's special right off the bat. Again, fair is fair. They gave a reason why and how. But even then, even if people give reasons why their characters are rather exceptional in this world, boom, Mary Sue, right off the bat. Absurdly powerful, Superman. Do I gotta? Superman was admitted to be a wish fulfillment? Nice. Wanted to be. I've seen the Goku versus Superman death battles. A fair question. The answer is how many times are you going to go to the box office to see it? Alright, Thought to be Dead. I'm surprised this isn't a thing online already. Hasn't anyone started a Jon Snow is dead counter? I can think of at least 5 times everyone thought the poor boy kicked the bucket. I expect by the end of the series there'll be at least 3 more times. Including choking on the world's first donut. That'd be something. And then James Bond. I chose the Daniel Craig representation, but it's Bond. I don't like how Bond treats women, especially since half the women in his movies don't survive the midway through the movie because he seduced them. And yet everybody loves him. And this is another thing people say about Mary Sue characters. If your character treats others horribly but everyone still likes them, what is with that? Well, what is with Bond? Why does everyone keep Bond for him even though he is emotionally unstable, manipulative, and all around not a nice person? There may be great truth in that statement. Maybe great truth in all of that. But here's another thing. All the definitions said power fantasy. Okay, Superman was wish fulfillment of the author. He was, some guy really wanted just to dream big. He wanted to say, this character, I want him to be awesome, I want him to accomplish the incredible, I want people to see the incredible happen. And look at how long he's been going. How old is Superman? Hasn't aged a day, but that's another of his superpowers. I'm eternally young. Haha, Batman. Meanwhile, Terry McGinnis is leaning over to Bruce like, "Oh, you gonna take that?" But here's the thing. A lot of people love Superman. He dares us to dream big. Heroes, as an archetype, exist to make people dream. They tell you, you can do this. The impossible can't happen. Feats are big and intimidating, but you can rise to the challenge, and we believe that. We celebrate that. It's why DC Comics has made basically the new Parthenon. You had the Greek Parthenon and the Roman Parthenon, now you have the DC Parthenon. Wonder Woman. Who saw Wonder Woman? Who adored that scene where she steps onto no man's land and just wrecks? Yes.
All of my yes.
All of the yes. And the thing is, she makes you believe in that moment that things can happen, that there is an end to this suffering. That is what heroes can do. We present people with power fantasies all the time. Like, I want to be king of the pirates. I'm going to sail the seas, conquer every pirate crew that comes up against me, even the world government, and they're not going to stop me, because I can stretch my arms like Mr. Fantastic. Jumping on my friends. It's right. It's true. My friend watches every episode of One Piece. Is like, I'm never going to see you again. Hunger Games. One young woman topples an empire. She tracks everyone to her. And this is a sign that she is a good character. I'll be honest, Katniss is not my favorite character. I had a lot of criticism for her. But at BronyCon, where I gave this presentation, a pair of women in the audience argued very strongly and effectively for why she is a sympathetic character. She's suffering PTSD from her own run through the Hunger Games. She's being used by all these people in power. My beef, however, is that I never had the sense she really committed to helping others. And I really want that in my heroes and heroines. A sense of other-centeredness. And that's why it really was painful to put Bella Swan up on this screen. I mean, again, if you enjoy Twilight, I apologize because it sounds like I recognize it. Bella, I definitely do not enjoy as a character. But I'm skipping, of course, Conan. And true story, I searched online, and that is the most family-friendly image I could find. And he looks like a gorilla that sat on a spike and just happened to grab a sword on the way. I mean, oh my goodness. But here's the thing, all of these characters are power fantasies. Conan is the guy who runs through entire armies, a girl hung over his shoulder, sword swinging one way. It is a very juvenile power fantasy. But it is one that was encouraged for a long time. But here's the thing. Ultimately, I think Mary Sue is best defined as an audience reaction. What we're really saying is that the audience is not connecting. Because there are audience members who have connected with Luffy, with Katniss, with Conan, with Bella, Superman, Jon Snow, James Bond, Harry Potter. Who didn't cheer for Harry Potter that first year at school?
Yeah.
We connect with them. So when I hear someone say Mary Sue, I don't think that's really good to apply it to the character. Because the character is subjective to what people like. What that person's really saying is, I don't feel connection with this character. I'm not invested in what's happened to them. Maybe it was a shortcut. Maybe it was, you're relying too much on a trope that people recognize, and familiarity does breed contempt. We just gotta be honest with ourselves on that. Familiarity breeds contempt. But let's never say that we aren't interested in power fantasies, because I know at least two. Speaking in very general terms here. Like I say, there's the Conan power fantasy of where you are powerful, you can fight through any foe, you can strike down any opponents. Anyone who stands in your way is going to get bulldozed, steamrolled. It's like a game of Overwatch where it's all competitive players versus newbies. It will not be pretty. Side note, I'm always on the newbie side. Exactly. Except Dark Souls is the Conan. But then there's another fantasy, which I view Katniss represents a lot. Even though Katniss had difficulty connecting with people, all of Panem flocked to her. Her image inspired a revolution. People believed in her. They ran to her, even when she admitted to herself, I don't deserve this. There were all these people pushing her up, saying, yes, you do. Summon these people, gather them, inspire them. And so, thanks to the folks at Everfree Northwest, I got to talk about different terms for these fantasies. I view them as, let's see here, the advancing fantasy, where you push through an obstacle, and the attracting fantasy, where you gather people to you. And there's also an overlap, right in there in the middle. It's faint, but let's look things through. Conan. Everyone has this image of a short, sweet barbarian. That is not anything new. But I think it's gone unremarked at how good he was at winning people over to his side. In one story, he joins a group of bandits, and by week's end, he's the leader. Why? Because he laughs loudly, celebrates freely with lots of liquor, he wins all their money in gambling, and gives it back. He wins their loyalty like that. Katniss has downed VTOLs with a bow and arrow. She's shot arrows at the governing body and screwed a turkey. That wasn't a politician. If that isn't a testament to her aim, I don't know what is. Maybe we should have Katniss Everdeen's actor card in a turkey this year. But, oh my, dude. Must always be mindful. So, there is an overlap. It's not mutually exclusive. I think a lot of people, especially My Little Pony, there are advancing fantasies. Rainbow Dash conquers the Sonic Rainbow. Flash Magnus served on Dragonfire. That was pretty impressive. Twilight Sparkle has gathered so many friends to become the Princess of Friendship. Is that not an attracting fantasy? I kind of like the idea of being the center of attention. It's okay to admit that. It's okay to celebrate this idea and bump these characters. And yet people say, oh, that's a Mary Sue. How can you say that? How can you say that when we celebrate people who write this fiction that features these very premises? And the answer is, honestly, it's because there's something going on with the character that isn't connecting, but it may not be specifically about the character. Here's my theory. People treat Anosi as this blight on the world. We know this world is beautiful, it's lush, it's filled with all these characters we know, and here comes this new character. Never met him. Never going to be in an episode or a comic, unless you draw the comic. Never going to be celebrated in fandom. So there must be something wrong with it. Well, no. Okay, fine. If the criteria is that our work be recognized by the show, slice the life aside and all that, then 99% of what bronies have created doesn't matter. And I do not believe that in the slightest. Because one of the things I love about the brony fandom, one of the things I celebrate, is how creative it is. I've been a part of the Gundam fandom, the Toys fandom, Sailor Moon, Digimon, Star Trek, Star Wars. I've never seen the level of creative output. Comparatively, the brony fandom is smaller and still more niche than a lot of those others I listed, but the production of creativity is astonishing.
I haven't seen the same level of creativity in all of the others combined in their department.
Thank you. I agree. It's amazing. And so, what I'm trying to get here is, don't let the idea that your character's not going to be in the show. So what? Make your character creative. That's what we're looking for. But here's the problem. Everyone thinks the problem's with the character. I think it's the reverse. I think you've created this character. You have this grand vision for it. You have this grand idea for it. You have this idea of what they're going to accomplish, what they're going to be, what they're going to do. You've forgotten the world. And people sort of, well, hang on, it's Equestria. I'm going to use Equestria as the example here. It's this beautiful place with Cloudsdale and Manhattan and Crystal Empire, Central Arabia, all this great stuff. We know the world. Okay, yeah. But you don't know the world with your character in it. You've changed the world when you introduce this new character. And this is not going to be a feel-good thing, this is basic chaos theory. You see, when a person enters the world, they create a sense of chain of events, which leads to checkmate. No, that's supposed to be me doing a terrible Jeff Goldblum. But this is the thing, and I mean this sincerely. Every person in this room, every person at this convention, in this city, in this state, in this country, every person changed the world when they were born. This world is not the same without you. It is not the same world that we've always known. It can't be taken for granted. Something has changed. Maybe it's just a little thing. An act of kindness on one day. You turned left instead of right at an intersection. Hi, Dr. Who. Maybe you said just the right or wrong thing at a moment that set up a chain of events. You don't know. You can't be blamed because it's way outside your control. But you had an impact, even though you might not realize it. And the same is true in our fiction. When you introduce a character to the world, that world changes. And I think the biggest thing that people trip on when creating original characters is that they don't ask the question, how is the world different? My character can fly really great.
Once you animate it.
Once you're animated. Oh yes, she thinks of that. My character can get airborne. That's my rate. Eventually. Alright. My character has a rainbow demon for a pet.
Monster, not demon, get it right.
Hey, when you're on the receiving end, it's a demon. Alright, so if your character has a rainbow monster for a pet, how is everyone going to react to that? How are they going to treat one another? How are they going to act to your character? Case in point, if Fluttershy met Twink. As much as Twink is fiercely loyal to my friend Lightning Bliss, actually, could you hold up Twink for me, please? This is the rainbow monster. So imagine Twink comes to Equestria alongside Lightning Bliss. So, first off, who are people going to find cuter? I know.
Choose your words carefully.
But now ask yourself, is Rainbow Dash going to want to fight this thing? Is Fluttershy going to say, oh, it's so cute? And is she going to want to win Twink over? How are people going to react to it? And that's the big question that I think a lot of people don't consider with OCs. How is the rest of the world going to react to this?
Twilight will dissect it.
That would be trouble. Great, now you're making me think of video game cats and Winnie the Pooh. I propose dissection for science. But here's the thing, when considering characters, like my character is a powerful magic user, he can conquer any spell. Okay, if they're going to fight this bad guy, what's Twilight doing? Sorry, what? What's Twilight doing? Also a powerful magic user. Oh, she's waiting at the castle hoping everything goes well. Yep.
That's Celestia's job.
And so the shots are fired. The Solar Empire feels a twinge of pain. Someone's missing the Sun Princess from this attack. But, so you say to this author, okay, so you've got Twilight just sitting there. Have you ever known Twilight to really be that passive? Okay, no. Well, then Twilight needs to do something. Okay, well, she knows the spell to defeat the enemy. Okay, does your character know that? Yeah. Well, then Twilight's not needed. Okay, then my character doesn't know the spell to defeat the enemy. Okay. We're getting somewhere. So Twilight is needed. But what if she's not right next to your character? What if it's her quest to get to the character because he has the ability to enact this spell? He needs her, she needs him, shared goal. Suddenly, this guy's blending with the world a little better. Okay, what's Fluttershy doing? Hiding. Okay, that is fair. But Fluttershy is always coming through in the end. As scared as she is, in fact, I makes her my favorite of the main six. As much as she shows her worst, she will always show her best by the end. So, she can't be hiding. So what if there's, say, a creature in your character's path? Well, he'll defeat him. Okay, what's Fluttershy doing? He will not defeat the creature. He needs Fluttershy on hand to show him how to do that. Okay! There you go. See, and build on it, it's kind of funny. Some might think your character is being decreased because he or she can't do this all on his own. I use he just by apologize, but the character is not able to solve everything, and that's okay because you're building the world up to work with it. You're creating these connections by asking questions. What is everyone else doing? You're making the character part of the world, and as they become part of the world, the audience becomes a part of the world again. We discovered Equestria through the eyes of Twilight Sparkle. For the first season, she was the only one writing letters to Princess Celestia. She was the only one she was the only one actively seeking out the lessons. She was our vector, pun intended. And then, season 2, we expanded that because now we knew the characters. Now we knew how they interacted. We could use them as guides to a greater world. And now here we are, we've expanded the cast. Starlight is not the main 7, but a very recurring character. We're learning about the world through her eyes, too. And that's what it is. Okay, when Starlight first joined, people were still living. Just as they were living when Twilight became an Alicorn. My answer, usually when people are worried about big changes, well, have we given it time? And time really does allow you to get invested in this world, to care about it. And so, here we go. Just think of it as a journey. You need time to walk on that journey with people. You need to let the audience walk with your character, discover this world. A lot of problems that people have with characters is that they're great from the start. They're powerful from the beginning. It's why people dump on Alicorns right away, because we associate Wings in a Horde with incredible power. But what if they can't control that power very well? Lightning Bliss, I believe, has some great trouble controlling her rainbow magic.
It's an emotional thing.
Yeah, it turns out whenever I ship her, it's like the Skittles factory exploding. But that means to walk on a journey requires one of the hardest things of all, patience. Because I see a lot of young authors, they want to get to the climax of the story. They want to have the big knockdown fight. They want that Dragon Ball power levels. But even that, even if you factor out the filler, Dragon Ball really built up to the Saiyans, right? Episodes of training and gaining new techniques. It built up to Frieza playing a game of keep away the Dragon Balls. Goku going Super Saiyan. Oh, what a milestone that was for the fan. That feeling people experienced when he first changed.
And then the longest 5 minutes of history.
The longest 5 minutes in history. I mean, you could order lunch, dinner, and breakfast in that 5 minutes. I have plenty of room.
Either that or Frieza just can't tell what this are.
But the goal is empathize, to feel like you've walked with this character on this journey. You care about what happens because you know where they've been. And that's one of the hardest challenges for a character, to let the audience walk with them and not run ahead to the good stuff. You gotta know how you got the good stuff. Perfect Pair is a perfect example. We know who's going to end up as Applejack, Big Mac, and Applemoon's parents. But getting to walk with them through their courtship, getting to reach that beautiful wedding, beautiful impromptu, and then tearjerker at the end, we walked with them through that. Even if it was through a montage, musical montage with a catchy song, we were a part of that. And that's why I will deny when people say MLP can't do romance. You did not watch The Perfect Pair. But if the story is a journey, there's something to remember. A biography events is things that happen to your characters. But that doesn't really define your character. You could put 2 people through the exact same series of events, even if it's just an obstacle course, and they'll react different ways because people are inherently different in some way. Some say it's nature, some say it's nurture. I think it's a combination. But basically, you learn about characters as they deal with consequences. So you want scenes to have an impact. Your character made a choice. Well, there's going to be fallout to that choice. It's okay if they made the wrong choice because we might empathize as they learn from that and make the right choice later. Or they recognize what they did right or wrong. Maybe a character's stubborn and doesn't admit the change. Then we worry for what's going to happen next. Alright, and with that, that is the end of the PowerPoint presentation, but we got a little bit of time, and I wanted to make sure that we gave ourselves a little chunk. If folks had questions or ideas, I've learned something about Superman already. So, first up, sir, in the shades. Yes?
Here's where all the characters would you consider Archer as a character?
Archer! Lana! Oh, think about this. This guy is emotionally stunted, purely self-centered, has nearly been, actually, a season ended implying he'd been kaput, and we're still waiting on the verdict on that one. Yeah, you could argue with him, Mary Sue, because he attracted all these people, they all hate him, yet they all rally to him. He has survived
numerous times.
counter spies, he survived robotic cyborg enemies, he survived space, he's been shot 10 times. Yeah, he's been shot more times than I can count. He says he's going to get lead poisoning. I believe it.
One of the more famous Mary Sue's in animation has to be Ash Ketchum, Pokemon. Think of
He's never won a tournament, but how many tournaments did... Here's the question. How many other people have gotten to take part in as many tournaments as Ash?
And how many times has he saved the world from legendary Pokemon? At least.
Right? So yeah, he's got this belt, but he's never won. Okay, but at this point it's kind of like Wesley Crusher. Dude, little kid can save the Enterprise. Why is he not an officer already? Okay, you saved the world from destruction by a legendary Pokemon. Here you go. You're a master. We trust you. So that may be a case, but again, we've gone with him on this journey. We've seen him earn these badges. He started off really as not a very good trainer. In fact, a lot of the Pokemon fans I listen to love him for that first season where he was so not the typical shonen anime hero. Yes, sir. Usually, in my eyes, it's that moment of destiny, which is kind of funny. I'm not always a fan of the idea of destiny in general, but how many stories have this critical moment where an owl flies into your room and drops off a letter? Where you were in just the wrong place at the wrong time to get swept up in an event that's bigger than you, or you met someone who puts you on a path. Oftentimes, it's less that the character makes a decision, as that decision is forced upon them. And so, in many ways, we celebrate sort of the everyman who's thrown, or everymayor, who is thrown into a situation that seems beyond their ability, but they rise to the challenge through hard work and maybe some. There's one bit of writing advice I heard that I thought was very important. Story contrivance is not a bad thing, but it's usually best at the beginning. Aragon was just hunting in the woods when he found the giant gem that turned out to be an egg. That's his moment of destiny. Otherwise, he's a kid who's good at hunting and lives in a small town in the middle of nowhere. Kind of like Link. Link, which origin story would you like? My favorite is SNES Zelda. He's asleep in bed. Little kid sleeping in bed, and he hears a voice calling out to him. That's his moment of destiny. You can basically play any Zelda game. He always starts as just this guy in the middle of a town. Where he's going. Or a kid. But that moment that calls him to be more really hammers at the door, and something he's got to step up. That's the challenge that invests people, the sense that the character is in over their head at first, but they are working to swim. Does that help? Good. Sort of the problem. We can keep going, but yes, sir. What time is it? I probably got about 10 minutes before she throws a broom long distance. 5 minutes. Let's see here. Yes, sir. Real life? Our founding fathers. paper are going to topple are going to push the British government back? A bunch of guys who were revered in history? We tend to play up their virtues, but we don't always celebrate their character flaws. Isn't that kind of turning our historical figures into a Mary Sue? I'm sorry? Walt Disney? No. I've seen the Family Guy Disney universe. That's all I'll say on that. But yeah, we tend to celebrate the virtues of people, but we also have to acknowledge the fallibilities and the fact that they didn't know how history was going to go. The American Revolution was more than a gamble. It was everything. And they did it. They achieved what others thought would be impossible. But they didn't know at the time. And again, historical heroes can inspire the future. Let's also admit they were fallible, limited people who didn't have a full view of the world or even a full grasp of what they were preaching. And yet we celebrate them. That was a guitar, because that was him. Oh.
If you make an OC, like when I did back in 2015, made mine and started doing music in the fandom, I didn't really like want to make my character anything colorful or anything. I actually completely based my character, his appearance and personality-wise, just be me and just a pony form.
Well, there you go.
Me, everything from personality to like one picture of him, everything from looks to personality. He's a musician as well, plays guitar. Don't ask how he does that with most.
Pony Sona.
I don't know if that would be considered Mary Sue.
Well, the definition that people threw around like Wikipedia and knowing is that the self-insert here's my thing. Isn't every character a little bit of ourselves when we're writing?
Yeah.
Aren't our villains like our darker impulses that we kind of delight in how bad they can be? Or how justified they might feel? They might, because you identify with a part of them. They might become